Welcome to the show. Now please strap in for the truth and remember the words of the great Tom Cruise.
I want the truth! You can't handle the truth!
Now welcome to Off Topic on Porn.
All right, OTOP family, friends, nation, we're back for another episode with It's Me, and Russell C. Russell, what's up, man?
Hey, Rob, doing good. Not much up right now, other than we're just doing the podcast. But it's been a great weekend. How about yours?
It's not been too bad. Just trying to make it through. Just uh, you know, closing down one thing, opening another. I guess just different
Yeah,
stuff going on here. You know how it goes. So,
yeah,
and
that's the
we,
name of the game sometimes.
yeah, exactly right. And we have James joining us again. James, what's up, buddy?
Nothing much. Nothing much. Looking forward to being on the show.
Hey,
Thanks so much for having me.
we're glad to have you, my friend. Always good. So, gentlemen, let's jump right into this. James, I'm going to throw this question to you because when we talked, kind of the pre-show, you were kind of the SME on this. For those of you, I can hear Travis right now saying, "Tell him what that is, Rob." The subject matter expert. Shout out to Big Trav. Um,
Yes.
so, James Comey is in the news because he's been indicted for um, making well, I guess it would be considered a threat or inciting a threat against the President of the United States. So, James, do me a favor, break it down for us a little bit. And then, here's the thing, pleading ignorance. I'm going to say this. I don't think pleading ignorance in some instances really gets you a pass. So, kind of break it down and then answer this question for me, if you would. Can you really plead ignorance and say, "Oh, I didn't know"? So, kind of let everybody know what's going on, and then answer that question for me.
All right. Yeah. Here's what's going on, folks. Former FBI Director James Comey has been indicted by a federal grand jury for an Instagram post he made or he shared. It was a beach scene, very idyllic, very picturesque. Has seashells with the numbers 86 and 47. For those of you who don't know, 86 is an expression for getting rid of something. And 47, of course, would be the 47th president of the United States. Now, James Comey says, I didn't know that this would lead to violence. He just thought it was a nice, pretty picture. I suppose. I'm having a hard time believing that the top, leader, the leader of the largest law enforcement agency in America, didn't know how something could be taken as violent. And why is that? And why is James Comey posting things to the Instagram anyways? Is he a social media influencer? Yeah, I think not. And as far as him not knowing, the FBI has what, hundreds of agents that you could ask. Children, he could even ask on social media, hey, what does this mean before I repost it under my account?
Right.
So yeah. And so you have people like Joe Rogan saying this is ridiculous. Trump didn't even care until something happened. I think that's the point. You have situations where people are posting violent rhetoric saying, let's kill the president, let's get rid of the president. And what happens? You have someone out there who tries.
Well, and I
Thank
think,
you. I think that
yeah. Well,
kind
and
of proves his point.
he's the former FBI director. You would think he'd know, but also, if you're going to post stuff like that, my question becomes: 8,647 is a really random number, right? Okay.
I, it really
So
is.
here's my question: if it doesn't mean something, then if I said to you, pick a number between 1 and 10,000, how many people pick 8,647 and spell it out in seashells or whatever? You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
really, you got to think what's kind of going on. But is pleading ignorance? And Russell, I'll ask you this question in this sense: is free speech? Because we a lot of people will put this under the free speech moniker, but is this or does this fall under the, like, yelling fire in a crowded movie theater?
Well, let me dispel something about that. About the example, it actually is not against the law to yell fire in a movie theater, although that keeps getting
You're right.
communicated intergenerationally. But it's not a wise thing to do, and just because it's not illegal doesn't mean that there will not be consequences to the person who does it.
Right.
Um, but So free speech is it's pretty much a sacrosanct thing. First Amendment, right? And something that sets our society and culture apart from pretty much the rest of the world, and it's a good thing. However, when you start appealing to free speech rights, when calling for the murder of somebody, ostensibly, there are limitations. So if you, it's always been illegal to threaten not only the president but any governmental official, and really anybody. That's why it's called a terroristic threat.
Right.
So it's really against the law to do that to anybody.
Right.
The problem with doing it to the president is that there's no way the Secret Service or the FBI knows whether you're joking or not. And since murdering the president is not a joking matter, they should look into it. Now, and so, no, this is not a free speech issue. That is a cop-out. You don't get to appeal to that while you call for the death of somebody. You don't have a right to do that. That's like putting a contract out on somebody.
Sure.
You don't have a right to, that's an illegal contract. Somebody may carry it out, but that doesn't make it any more legal. It's still an illegal contract.
Sure.
As far as Comey not knowing, there is this concept that is in some areas of our law. It's especially when it comes to holding entities accountable for complying with regulations and so forth. And I think it even goes beyond that. There's this concept of known or should have known. Now, Mr. Comey either knew it or he should have known that that's what that meant, because it is his job as the guy, really the chief law enforcement guy in the land at that time, to know that that's what it meant. And so so you don't get to it's like if somebody launders money in a bank. I use that because I used to be a former banker, and so I think about this. Somebody launders money in a bank that is a bank employee, and then all of a sudden the authorities show up to arrest them. Surprise, surprise. And
Right.
if he says, well, wait a minute, I didn't realize that what I was doing was laundering money. I didn't know that was illegal activity. Oh, are they going to say, well, okay, sorry, let's take the cuffs off. You didn't know, so that's a disclaimer that
Yeah.
works.
Right.
Or
yeah.
are they going to arrest him anyway? And I
Right.
think we all know they're
Yeah,
going to
he's gonna
arrest
get
him
arrested.
because he broke the law. What's the old adage? Ignorance of the law
Ignorance.
is no excuse, right?
Exactly. No, absolutely.
Ignorance of the law is no excuse.
Yeah.
And if you're the chief law enforcement officer in the land, you really don't get to appeal to ignorance when it comes to these kinds of things. You should know. There's things that float around. And this will be my last thought on this.
Sure.
There are things that float around on the internet that are symbolic. A lot of, and in texting and so forth, right? That's the generation that we're in right now.
Sure.
For example, I learned not too long ago that 143 means I love you.
What? I didn't
Yeah,
even.
because there's one letter I, and then there's four letters love, and then there's three letters you. So 143 is
Oh,
shorthand for I love you.
Great.
Didn't know that.
I had no
now-
idea.
Okay, but a lot of people who use that sort of symbolism know that, right?
Yeah.
It's like a code, and I'll bet you anything that the FBI knows what.
Oh, sure. Yeah, they're texting.
Okay, and that's my point there. It's like, just because a lot of the population doesn't know something doesn't mean that they don't know it,
Yeah.
because they're spying on everything.
Sure.
So
Right,
I
exactly.
just don't buy it. I
Right,
just don't buy
no,
it. I'm
I
with
got you.
James on that.
Yeah. Well, and as we, and talking about the president, so he did something, I'm going to say interesting. We'll discuss the interesting part of it, but he read Second Chronicles 7:14, which says, "And my people who are called by my name, if my people who are called by my name humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then I will hear from heaven, will forgive their sin, and will heal their land." And again, if you think about it, and I think the reason he was doing that is basically he's saying, hey, we're like in the times of Noah. We're killing each other. We're at a point where we can't even have a conversation. Everything's politicized and everything's going wrong, and we can't even have a conversation. And everybody, it's such a volatile time, and we need revival. We need Jesus. Um, and I think that was the crux and the thrust of it. What are your guys' thoughts? Since we started with James last time, Russell, we'll start with you this time. What are your thoughts? What are you, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think it's delightful that the President of the United States, any President of the United States, would read the Word of God
Sure,
before the nation. I
I
would remind everyone, including those who try to deny this, that this is a nation that was founded on Christian biblical principles. It subscribes to it. It has always subscribed to a Judeo-Christian ethic.
right,
This is why for many, many years, even guys that were scoundrels and scalawags, if a woman walked into the room and children walked into the room, they would mind their tongues.
yeah,
And now that doesn't happen a whole lot today, but
nope,
they did for so many years because there was a Judeo-Christian ethic that was understood, that applied across the board, and people respected it. This is what we do in our culture. There's certain, if I'm a dreg of society, there's a certain way I might comport myself if I'm with other dregs
right,
that I won't comport myself in if I'm in a church or if I'm in a place that has women and children.
right,
Um, Now, the fact that we've had secularists accost our nation in recent decades with a different kind of ideology because they're trying to force the Judeo-Christian ethic out and replace it with any manner of other ideologies like leftism and communism and Marxism, which is the same thing, and you know the materialistic uh, philosophies that lead us to exercise our baser natures and calling all that good and natural and normal. That's what they're trying to replace it with. That doesn't change the fact that we come from a Judeo-Christian ethic. So uh, our laws are based to some extent on biblical principles. Our anti-murder laws, all of them come from there. And I could cite other things.
yeah,
So there is not here in Texas, it is now mandated that the Ten Commandments be put up in schools. This is a good thing
yeah,
because it is a part of our historical heritage, whether people like it or not.
right.
And it's also a part of our national historical heritage. And so that was just a great thing to see. And yeah, I think it's 100% appropriate. And I for one, was very happy to see President Trump do that.
Yeah. Okay. And I agree. I agree. James, your thoughts?
Yeah, my
Response,
thoughts.
rebuttal.
No rebuttal. But I completely agree with Russell because the thing is, we so much of what we go through in America is Republican versus Democrat, Democrat versus Republican, leftist, Marxist. Everyone's always at war with each other. There's a truth that pervades all these things, and that's God's truth.
Yeah.
If God created the heavens and the earth, guess what? God makes the rules. And one of the
Yeah.
things that God wants us to do is to love him and love each other. I think we can agree with that,
I-
especially with the love each other part. Okay, we can disagree, but we got to remember we can't kill each other.
Right.
Trying to assassinate the president, Charlie Kirk, people we don't like. That's not that's out of bounds, and we have to return to that.
Yeah.
Return to the age of civility, where you know what, I disagree with you, but I respect you as a person.
Right.
Yeah.
I respect
Agreed.
your humanity, your
Yeah.
common humanity. We got to go back to that.
Yeah.
And I think the president was absolutely right in pushing us back in that direction.
Yeah. No, I agree. And I think that we need to go back to being able to disagree over a cup of coffee. I don't even like coffee, but you know what I mean. Where we can settle our disagreements over a cup of coffee and even if they're not going to be settled, at least agree to disagree and have a discussion, over a cup of Joe, and both leave, at least finding somewhere where we may agree, and that may not even have been on this issue. It may be that, we both like the car I drove in, you know what I mean, or the place because we had coffee at this place. We both may like this place, but finding some commonality in some way, shape, or form, like James, you said, because the humanity in both of us is there. You know what I'm saying? And we don't have it. We are not in that day and age anymore. We just simply aren't. It's sad, to be honest with you. So, um, But yes, I just thought that was an interesting. We had talked about that, guys. That was interesting, and at least it would seem that it's nice that the leader of the free world is, to Russell's point, reading the Word of God and is saying, "Hey, look, guys, we need Jesus's help here." Because I think with where we are right now, boy, it's really going to take the Holy Spirit to help um, with what's going on. So
Yeah.
um,
Kind of leads in-
go ahead, James.
It kind of leads into our next topic, actually, interestingly enough.
Yeah, it really does. So we
It really
promised
does.
you guys last episode. If you haven't watched the last episode, you can go watch it right now. Press pause and go watch it so you'll understand this promise that we're fulfilling. Russell went and saw the story of Is it called the story of everything? I think it's the story of
Yes.
everything. Look at me remembering. What up? Um,
Yes.
yes.
Way to go,
Um,
Rob.
Look, I'm here all week. Okay, people. It's what I
think you
do
need-
for you.
I think you need to give yourself a cheer on that one.
Exactly. Yay me. So
Yeah,
no,
yay
but
you.
here's the thing. Russell went and saw the movie, and he's going to give us now his movie review. Reviews by Russell.
Yes.
Look at how I did that. See how I did that? And he's going to tell us about the the movie and what he liked, disliked, all that good stuff. So, Russell, the microphone is yours, sir.
All right. Thanks, Rob. Appreciate that. So, yeah, I'll just say it was a good movie. Now, I want to correct myself on something I said last week, although it's kind of too late for it to matter. But I said it started Friday. It actually started Thursday, the 30th, not Friday, the 30th, because Thursday was the 30th. So it started Friday the 30th. Excuse me, I'm doing it again, Thursday the 30th. And it's going until this Wednesday, the 6th. So there's still 3 days that people have to, well, actually, I guess 2.5 days or so by the time this podcast is pushed out. But anyway, it's in a number of theaters throughout all of the major metropolitan areas around the country. It's a limited run movie, and it may not be a limited run movie if enough people go to see it. So I will say it's the core idea of the film, and I've written some notes here so I can keep myself on track and not ramble. It answers primarily, I think, the question: is the universe the result of blind processes, or is it intentional design, what we would call intelligent design? That's really what it approaches. That's really the question that it seeks to address. And it's just like the book that I showed last week. It's based on that book, and it does a good job. I'm going to say just a little bit of a warning up front. It's a rather heady movie because it's dealing with cosmology, and it doesn't just skim across the surface. And then it deals with physics, and it deals with biology. It deals with other things too, but those are I would say the primary things. And it delves into what we know scientifically from these arenas, and it addresses the question of the origin of the universe and the existence presently of the universe from those perspectives. Cosmology is the main thing. And so it talks about all of the most recent ideas that people have concerning the origin of the universe. It talks, Stephen Hawking's perspective was addressed. They also talk about Albert Einstein. Some of Richard Dawkins's stuff is brought in. As far as the protagonists in the movie, and I just say protagonists because I know that they're believers and they come in on the same side. Stephen Meyer is the one who is the main person in this. He's the narrator. He's the main one that's interviewed. John Lennox is in the movie, and Peter Thiel and some other scientists. Dr. David Berlinski has some presence in there. And so some people don't know who these guys are. You can look them up. They're all very relevant contemporary scientists in different regards. So this movie challenges scientific materialism. And in some regards, this is a discussion that has been happening for several decades. Obviously, this movie leans towards the intelligent design argument, but it tweaks what has been released up until this point a little bit more. and it adds additional information. And it also does a good job of refuting some of the theories, and they're not really theories, they're actually speculations that are offered in response to the idea that the universe had an origin. The universe is understood to be not eternal, despite what guys like Fred Hoyle in the past tried to say. And so, since it's temporal, and since we can see from the way it expands that it probably, in fact, almost certainly had a beginning. In fact, that is what the consensus is now. What do you do with the fact that everything within the universe, including time, would not have existed prior to the moment of that? What Stephen Hawking called it a singularity. What happened 1 second prior to that singularity exploding? And where did the singularity come from? What caused the great explosion? The great cosmic explosion that led to everything, which gave us the story of everything. So that's what it addresses. It does a really good job. I would say this: make sure when you go see it, folks, make sure you're wide awake. Don't go like if there's a 10:30 showing or something, don't go to that one. 10:30 p.m.
Unless you're a
Go
night owl.
to-
If you're a night owl, go
Go to
ahead.
as early a showing as you can and have some coffee or
There
get
you
you
go.
a Coca-Cola or something like that at the theater
Coca-Cola.
and sit there and keep yourself awake. It's an hour and 45 minutes packed with good, solid, heady information, and it gets my complete endorsement. So that's kind of my overview. I encourage people to go see it.
All right. Well, there you have it. We told you we'd bring it, and we brought it. So Russell gives
Yep.
it his official pizza slice of 3 slices, because there's only 3 slices in Russell's
3 out
pizza.
of 3.
He's giving you
Yeah.
3 out of 3 slices because look,
All right, yeah,
he don't
definitely.
spend a lot of time slicing his pizza. So
Yeah.
he's
No
like,
point.
look, 3 slices is enough. That's it. I'm not slicing
Yeah.
it more. So, well, gentlemen, let's pay some bills. So,
All right.
Right.
you know how much we love mountain mowers. They are one of the sponsors of Off Topic on Point, and they're if you live in the Tri-County area, they're your local experts for keeping your yard looking its best. Whether it's mowing, trimming, or full lawn care, Mountain Mowers has you covered with reliable service and a personal touch. They know every yard is different, and they treat yours like their own. If you're ready for a lawn that stands out without all the hassle, call Mountain Mowers today at 276-730-8230. Mountain Mowers, they cut grass, not corners, and we love mountain mowers. So, gentlemen, that is another show in the books. Any parting shots before we sign off?
Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe, everyone.
There we go. And James,
Yeah.
anything from you?
Yeah, just if God created everything, then he makes the rules.
Exactly.
Let's live like God made everything and created the rules. Let's live
Exactly.
according to those rules.
And to follow up on that, I will quote the immortal philosopher Bill S. Preston, Esquire, and Ted Theodore Logan: be excellent to each other. Okay? And party on, dudes. So,
Oh gosh, Bill and Ted's Big Adventure.
so remember,
Right, that's a blast from the distant past.
but it fits so well. It was actually even on topic and on point. But we'll
Yeah.
say this: you don't always have to be on topic. You can be off topic, as I just was a little bit, but you must always be on point. All right. We'll see you next time, everybody. Have a good one. Bye bye.